Hello, hello, hello. I hope it's a good one. I think I did this before. I'm just going back over it. I'm just going back over it so we can get that cleared up and out the way. Sometimes these misconceptions, you got to keep going over them over and over and over. We're going to wait for a couple of more people to get into this room. Then we're going to start the show. Hey, uppity. I'm gonna start this show. Whoever missed it got catch it on the rerun. There we go.
And how the government was paying black women to remove black men from the home, or black women chose Wiccan welfare over the fathers of their children. And I want to give more context. The men that the quote unquote the welfare system, government system, were trying to remove from the homes, they were not the men who worked at the post office. They were not the men who worked at the mailroom at a federal agency. These were not the men in the military. These were not the cops or uh, men on the assembly line who held their job for 30 years.
Duh.
These were not the Heathcliff Huxtable type of men that the government was saying remove from your homes. These were the low vibrational black men who whether we want to admit it or not, there's always a group of black men who do not want to work. They are able-bodied people, but they, for whatever reason, they do not want to work. And listen, you can go anywhere in Africa, you can go anywhere in the diaspora, and you will find black men in the middle of the day doing nothing.
When I started my first online business, I had no idea what I was doing. But this,
It was those type of men that the government said, sis, if you want this money for you and your kids, you got to get him out. Because the thinking was, and you got to think about the 60s. You know, a lot of these people, they'll bring up LBJ. You got to think about the 60s. Back in those days, if you have an able bodied man, you shouldn't need government assistance. You hear what I'm saying? It was either one or the other. You know, back in those days, a lot of our fathers, a lot of our grandfathers, they weren't real emotional. They weren't the best. They weren't the best husbands. But one thing they knew was how to bring a check home. They were hardworking men. So, you know, a 20-year-old man in the 60s was born in the 40s. Okay, and those men knew in order to be a family man and do that type of stuff, they knew how to keep a job. They knew how to keep a job. And so the thinking was, if it's an adult male living in your house that you're giving children to, you should not need government assistance. The government was not trying to the government was not trying to subsidize full families. The government was trying to subsidize broken families for just a short amount of time until this woman got on her feet, or until, and the thinking was, if we get rid of this low vibrational nigga, who ain't adding value, and if he is adding value, it's with his sperm. The thinking was, if we remove this man, we can limit the amount of children we have to subsidize. If we remove this man, we can remove domestic violence. If we remove this toxic man who ain't doing nothing but knocking her up every year, if we remove this toxic man, he won't be messing on the kids, and it won't be no weird, strange, because some families you talk to them good and well, and Uncle Jimmy might be so and so's dad, or the dad raped the child, and because nobody before, in the 60s there was no abortion, no legal abortion. It was, backdoor abortions and stuff like that. So taking him out of the home would just make the women and the children just more safer. And America has always had a substance abuse problem. So he may have not had a legal job, but he had some type of job that was not adding value to the world. He was maybe a drug dealer, a pimp, or just a lazy bum. It was those fathers that were being removed from the home. The government had to help black women choose better. It was those fathers. It was not the middle class black men who were first generation getting a college education from Howard. It was not the dudes first generation graduating from Fisk or Cheney. You hear what I'm saying? It wasn't these middle class Heathcliff Huxtable archetypes. Okay, it was these hoes.
When I think about building wealth and building wealth that lasts, it really starts with the Vanderbilts.
Low vibrational fathers whose only value was to have some fucking kids. Okay, and it was with that. The government said, if you get rid of this dude who's toxic to you, he's toxic to the kids. You know what I'm saying? The fantasy is mom, dad, and kids, and they're functional. But any single mother will tell you sometimes no father is safer and healthier for everybody than a toxic father. Honey, a toxic patriarch is worse. It's just best, sir, just leave. just leave. And we know black women, them black men ain't go nowhere. That man may have left when the social worker was coming around, but he ain't completely leave.
Thank you.
You know how black women get down.
Hello.
So he ain't really
he ain't going nowhere.
Out the picture. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, a lot of these men will have you believe that, LBJ was just rounding up all of the good black men and telling them to, leave town. And that's not the case.
Common sense will tell you that's not the case. That's common sense. Who throws a man out of their own apartment if his name is on the lease? If he's on the lease and he's paying the bills, how do you throw a man out of his apartment if the bills are paid? But this is the stupidness that we hear, and we go, yeah, that's right. They destroyed the black family. No. A lot of these men stay with their women. A lot of these men hid in the closet. They hid under the couch. They hid under the bed. Some hid in the refrigerator. But they was never totally out the house. The ones who left are the ones who wanted to leave. It had nothing to do with the government. These was your flybys. Them was your hit it and split it. Ain't nothing new under the sun. The same thing why they left today. Because they didn't want to be with you or have a family. Same thing then is the same thing now. The government ain't had nothing to do with that. Yeah, the women were scrutinized. Yeah, they violated the women by coming into her house, checking her stuff. But in their mind, they putting food on your table. Where your man at? Where your man at? Don't we still say that today? Where your man at? Woman crying her kids ain't got this. The first thing you say is where's the kid's father? Same rule applied back then. Where was the kid? A lot of the men wasn't even thrown out the house. They was never even in the house. But they always want a pity party. Men always want a pity party. They still looking for them to go, oh, y'all was done so wrong. When they could just fly free and go wherever they want to go. Mm-hmm.
Okay, these were not the men like your grandfather, you know what I'm saying, who wasn't perfect, but he had a house, he had some land, he may have had some rental property, you know what I'm saying? He had a pension, and you know what I'm saying, who was, you know, a man who was going to work every day. You know, back in those days, you didn't need a college degree to take care of your wife and kids. You know what I'm saying? You know, just a good job that was stable, and you and your family could live well, even with segregation, even with Jim Crow, even with affirmative action. You know, when we see the affirmative action like in the 70s and the 80s. Okay, so let's, you know, when black men generally who participate in a lot of revisionist history, and sometimes black women too, you know, just asking what type of fathers, you know, because these fathers, my grandy owned his house, and he had guns and stuff, so I doubt if anybody rolled up in his house. You know, they was going to have to meet their maker because he was going to defend his property. Okay, you know, your granddad, your uncles, you know, the pastor, you know, and let's call it what it is. The civil rights movement was more for the middle class black person. Okay, and because the civil rights movement was basically church folk and church. Y'all can say all you want about the black church, but more or less, the black church is more middle class than lower middle class. You got some outliers, but in terms of thinking, you know, in terms of thinking, the black church has really been a beacon for middle class blacks. Well, that left, you know, black people, we've always had a class issue. We've always had a class issue. Okay. But the welfare system was for the poor blacks. Okay. And those poor blacks, you know, the system was in place. Listen, if you want, I need you to get rid of the toxic. I need you to get rid of the problem. Get rid of this man. You know, this wasn't so. These wasn't the men who was walking their kids to school. You hear them saying, and helping their kids with some fucking homework.
I'm going to share with you.
These were not those men. These were not those men. And like I said, the middle class, like your grandfather, my grandfather, some of you great grandfathers who owned their own property, can't nobody pick you out of a home you own. So these men were poor. They didn't work. A lot of them probably were menaces to society, just holding up the corner. You know, in the South, they would call them porch monkeys, men that just do nothing all day, just do nothing but sit around and talk. You know, those are the men that needed to move on. Those are the men who needed to get out of the house. You know, those men, those Rolling Stones that the Temptations talk about, those are the men that need to move the fuck along. Okay? And in the government's defense, they were right. They were right. Like I said, some of you who are single mothers or you are newly married, this is your second marriage, you know, a toxic husband, a toxic father, honey, is better. I mean, a toxic father is worse than no father. is worse. So some of you need to ask forgiveness from your mother because you were so hard on her. Why did she not make it work with your dad? If you really knew your dad, he seemed decent now in his 50s and 60s and 70s, but back when he was young and tender, you don't know what type of wickedness he brought to your mother. And those of you who your mother never really got married again, she didn't date, that probably was to spare you. Okay? To protect you. Okay? It looks like abandonment, but a lot of our mothers had to choose you or her man. And she chose you instead of him. Because he was dangerous, he was toxic, we know the domestic violence rates. We know the molestation rates. And we know it for today. Imagine back in the 60s, where marital rape was normal.
Thank you so much.
Girls being molested by fathers and uncles and older cousins was normal. Okay? So, when the government said, get that nigga out the house if you want some money.
That's true.
It was a reason. It was a reason.
Take care.
It was a reason. So let me know what you guys think and we'll speak again.
Now I'm going to go back through one of my older videos. We're going to talk about the Mohan Report. Let's go. I got to go back. Got to go back at the time. I don't know why I don't hear myself. Let me see.
Since the 16th, 17th century, we rather bring in foreigners from Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. We rather the government really just hates Black Americans. They said instead of fully integrating you Black Americans who've been here since the 16th, 17th century, we rather bring in foreigners from Bangladesh, Pakistan, India. We rather bring them in and fully integrate them. But like I said, it backfired on these white folks because now their grandchildren, that Congress in 1965 who passed that Hart-Celler bill, their grandkids, their white grandkids, these alt-right pussies are flipping out. They're the ones having to compete with these foreigners that were supposed to displace Black folks. So, I mean, like I said, whenever you do things that are supposed to be detrimental to Black Americans, it always backfires. Like during the same time period, 72, they legalized abortion. And now look, the white birth rate is far below replacement level. That also has these alt-right neo-Nazis flipping out. So all those policies that were implemented in 1965 and 1970s when it comes to abortion, the Hart-Celler Act, it all came back to haunt white America. It's biting them in the ass. Let's hop into this article. Now, this is the Kerner Commission report. This is the report that was given to President Lyndon B. Johnson. Set up some type of committee, and they'll get into it right here. Check it out. After intense mid to late 1960s urban riots, President Lyndon B. Johnson commissioned the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders, generally known as the Kerner Commission, to study the cause of the riots and to propose situations. Again, this is 1960s. Remember, the Congress and Lyndon B. Johnson needed to figure out a way to stop these riots across the country in major cities. So their solution was, let's bring in a bunch of foreigners.
Oh yeah, you got to turn it down a little bit.
Bring in a bunch of foreigners from all over the goddamn world and put them into these black inner city neighborhoods. That way you're going to have groups of people with different interests. And when you have people in one area with multiple different interests, it's less likely you're going to have riots. But when
Turn
you
it down a
have
little bit, Tony.
people
I
that are
did.
in
You
one
want to
area
turn
and they
it
all
down
have
more?
one interest, like it
Just a
was
little bit
for a
more.
long time up
Then
until
maybe that's
1965,
him.
they're
Yeah,
going
it is.
to, you know, riot and demand certain things.
What
So
about
they
now?
said the best way to handle this, the best way to prevent these large-scale
Still
riots
super loud.
in the future is by bringing in foreign
I could barely hear
foreign
it. Hold on.
immigrants,
But then
legal
I'm going
or
to have to cut
illegal,
your thing down
and
because
put them in black
mine is almost
neighborhoods.
at 0.
That was their solution. Now, like I said,
Oh,
it did
sound good now.
backfire, but
Oh, okay.
instead of fully integrating Black Americans into this economy, like the Monahan report suggested, this is what Lyndon B. Johnson said. We're going to let millions of foreigners in. And it has come back to bite white America in the ass. Now they've lost their country to foreigners because these foreigners came over here. They have a higher birth rate than they have a higher birth rate. And plus, they're holding on to their language, tradition,
Yep.
culture, and customs.
Yep.
So this is how the Hart-Celler Act, the 1965 Hart-Celler Act, is backfiring on white folks in Congress who passed that law, hoping to solve the black problem during that time period. It all has backfired. But let's keep on reading. Let me see. Where was I at? Fuck. All right. Their report issued in March 1968 argued that the riots were caused in large part by poor neighborhood conditions and limited labor market options facing Black Americans as a consequence of racism and rampant discrimination in housing and labor markets. Kerner Report 1968. These factors underlay the development and maintenance of the northern Black ghettos, where residents endured extreme segregation, limited housing choices, concentrated poverty, and poor schools. Kerner, 1968. Although the report's authors believed in full integration as the long-term solution, they argued that more immediate relief was possible through large-scale targeted government investment in housing, education, and employment programs, and more robust social insurance programs. Instead of doing this, the government said, hey, fuck you, Black motherfuckers. Fuck you, motherfuckers. You've been here since the 16th, 17th century. We're still going to bring in foreigners. We're going to bring in foreigners. And we're going to integrate them into the economy. That's what the Hart-Celler bill was about, 1965. There had to be a solution for those riots. There had to be. And the best way that you can counter those riots, one, and the best way you can prevent fully integrating Black Americans is first by bringing in the foreigners and integrating them economically. And secondly, you're going to solve the riots because when you have a neighborhood and you put a person from Pakistan in there, a person from Bangladesh in there, a person from Poland in there, and then there's some Black people, you have people with different interests. So it's a less likelihood they're all going to join together and riot. No, you can have one person one group doing bad, the other three groups are doing good. So they're not going to feel as there's a reason to riot. So that's a strategic way in which you can prevent large-scale riots. You bring in foreigners, you bring in different groups, and that are still relevant. Racial segregation remains the defining feature of many
U.S. cities. Black face higher unemployment and lower wages. Hues of parties and wealth purses at levels near those described by Kerner and his colleagues 5 decades ago. Right?
Blacks face
Then it says reduce unemployment doesn't equal improved well-being for Black Americans, right?
1965 to do two things: to one, stop the riots, and two, fucking push you further and marginalize you further to the back of the bus. I mean, think about it. You already have millions of low-skilled Black Americans, right, in this country, and then you bring in millions of more low-skilled foreigners. What you're doing is you're economically squeezing the low-skilled Black Americans out of the workforce. And then what that does is that causes a chain reaction to where those low-skilled Black Americans who don't have that much skill, once they're priced out and pushed out by the illegal foreigners who come in, since they have low skills and more than likely low intelligence, they're going to go out and do some stupid-ass shit like commit some crime. That's going to put them in one of these private prisons. So this is all a political strategy to fatten the pockets of strategic thinkers who basically wish to not only capitalize off of Black misfortune, but also capitalize off of basically seeing people just self-destruct when they had no other option. Now, in my opinion, I think that if these laws, if the Moynihan report was enforced or followed, and those millions of foreigners weren't allowed to come in to squeeze the low-skilled Black Americans, the incarceration rate wouldn't be what it is. But see, that was strategically done. They knew the government knew that once they allow millions of low-skilled foreigners into this country, it would financially squeeze the bottom low-skilled Black poverty class. And it will force those guys to go out commit crime, which would, again, fill the beds of the private prisons. Let me get back into this. Given the attention raised by the Kerner report on Black urban neighborhood conditions as both a cause of the riots and a potential metric of improvement, we thought it might be instructive.
Please, guys, keep in mind, this was put out in the 1960s. This is from the 1960s. And we're still feeling it today in 2021. When I mean your oppressors study you, they study you. That's why I can't understand the money grab and throwing the Black women under the bus. When all of this was done to you, we had your back. We had your back for everything. And then we had to be a little masculine energy. We had to hold stuff down. While they had it to where as you couldn't work, we had to find work. We had to feed the kids. So keep in mind, this is 1960s. And it still stands to 2021 and beyond. So I got to go back on some of my old work. Because y'all, in case y'all forget, I got to go back.
To revisit how neighborhoods and riot-affected cities evolved in the subsequent decades. In a recent paper published in a special issue of the Russell Sage Journal of Social Sciences, devoted the legacy of the Kerner report, we examine how Black neighborhoods, both riot-affected and not, have evolved on a number of key social indicators over the decades spanning 1970 to 2010. So basically, they didn't implement the Kerner report or the Moynihan report or none of the programs. And they're just trying to tell you, even though those programs were not implemented, there still was progress. I mean, look, economic inclusion, this committee, whatever, they told him the solution. They told Congress the solution. And Congress said, fuck that, man. I'm not fully integrating these black Americans into the economy. Let's bring in these foreigners. Let's open up the borders. Bring them in. And now look at the grandchildren of these white congressmen who did that.
Now we're going to get back to him, right? We're going to get back to him. Now we want to see what Cynthia G has to say. We're going to see her take on the Moynihan report. Okay? We're going to get back to him because everybody has different views, and we would then say what our views is going to be. Okay? It's my girl, Cynthia G. Thank you for not flagging the page, sister. Thank you.
That's what these are. My glasses, my regular glasses are much smaller than these. My regular glasses are smaller. And if I didn't have my contacts on, even with these glasses on, I wouldn't be able to see anything. And so since I'm going to be staring at the computer reading this report, I have to wear these glasses. And yes, we can drill in these glasses too. For those who are wondering, we can absolutely drill. But hold on for a second. Let me pull up the chat on my computer. Effects or health issues, ain't nobody to sue. Ain't nobody to sue. You can't sue nobody.
20 of the richest people in America made their fortunes focusing on a single stock long term. And they're not alone. Life-changing fortunes.
4 years blanket immunity. 4 years of blanket immunity. You cannot walk into a court and sue them. The judge will say, nope, you can't do it. No, you cannot do it. So the fact that there's something that's being forced, but nobody has to take liability for, how dare you, Joy Reid, tell Nicki Minaj that she can't say what she's saying? If I was Nicki Minaj, I would have told her to go straight to hell. This is why I'm telling you guys, I couldn't be a celebrity. I couldn't be a celebrity. I couldn't be a celebrity because you're not going to tell me what I can say. You're not going to come try to check me. And I'm glad that Nicki Minaj put her in her place. I'm glad that Nicki Minaj put her in her place. I'm not a barb, but I have always liked Nicki Minaj, especially when they do the comparison between Nicki and Cardi B. It's hands down is Nicki Minaj. Cardi B is T-Rash with a capital T. And I don't like anything about her. Nothing. I don't even understand why other people like her, but it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, I don't understand that.
I had to fast over that part. But you can't speak upon the
I don't understand that. Well, how are y'all? And I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just going to tell y'all something about me. Ain't nothing that they can say to me that's going to make me go out and put something in my body. Y'all do whatever y'all feel like y'all got to do. Y'all do whatever you feel like you them, but he was laid up in the hospital because that's psychology too. Who sits up there and says, oh, it don't matter who comes in after him? Never once thought that who comes in after could be worse. Oh yeah, and black people have been complaining about their decision since they made it. This is why you don't make decisions from emotions, because you always regret decisions that you make out of fear and emotion. It just is what it is. You should never vote just because you want somebody out of office and you don't think about the person who comes in and how they could be worse. The racism in the healthcare industry, they won't deal with this. They can't force you to do anything. A lot of employers do not want to give this option. 58, 57, 56. 56 years, they have not been able to rebound. So since welfare took them out of the home at least 56 years ago, they somehow could not they now cannot rebound from it. 2021. They're saying since the 1960s, they've been put out the home. So let's just do 1960. They're saying that a rule that lasted maybe 3 years has literally affected them, and 61 years later, they can't rebound from mind you, the legislation didn't even happen. What they're saying, somebody taking them out of the home, that didn't happen. Understand that really didn't happen. Nobody ever took black men out of the home. Nobody ever took black men out of the home. But let's entertain it and say, hypothetically, somebody took black men out of the home. So black men are saying in the 60s, they were taken out of the home for welfare. So if we do 1960 and we do the math, that's 61 years ago. They're saying a rule, the man out of the home rule, that mind you, they did not go to the Supreme Court so that they can get it repealed. A black woman did. They're saying that this rule that literally lasted for 4 years max, they now cannot rebound from it 61 years later. It has been 61 years since the 1960s. 61 years.
Carter, get out of here.
From 1960. 1960 to today
Carolyn.
is 61 years. Now, we can say maybe 1964. Fine. Let's give them 1965. That was the civil rights movement. So then we would subtract 5 from 61, 60, 59, 58, 57, 56. 56 years, they have not been able to rebound. So since welfare took them out of the home at least 56 years ago, they somehow could not get back in it in 2021. And now their rate of absentee father is actually higher. Now that rule has not been in place, their absentee father rate.
Now, I can't express this enough. I cannot express this enough. The black man was not taken out the home. You cannot kick a man out of a house that belongs to him. If he is the head of the household, you cannot kick the black man out. He was never the head of the household. That's why it's so easy for men to walk away, because they didn't even consider it home. Because when you marry, or you really marry legally or married through common law, no man wants to leave their home. So was it really their home they was kicked out, or did they get kicked out of a place they was just laying up? Were they just laying up there and laying other places too? Because usually when it's your home, you're going to fight to stay in your house. You're going to fight to stay in your house. You're going to get that job so the bills can get paid. You weren't paying bills. This is before public assistance. She went to public assistance because she was getting ready to get kicked out for the bills not being paid. So it was a lot of things that you have to admit that y'all were not doing. Because if you're not on public assistance, this is to get on public assistance. But if you're not on public assistance and the man is paying the bills, there's no reason for public assistance. And I don't want to hear, because she wanted the extra money. That's right, Carolyn.
You go back 60-something years, how much extra money was it compared to a man who's working, having a good job? So women, don't listen to that. And y'all young youth, don't let these older men tell y'all that. Because if it was your real home, you're going to treat it as your real home. You're going to pay your bills, and you're going to take care of your kids and take care of your household. So you really was laying up. Well, nobody wants to say that. Nobody wants to say, hey, I was laying up. She got my kids. I'm laying up. I can work. Or I don't have to work. I ain't really got to do nothing. And I got some place to lay my head, and I got some food in the house. But when times got bad and he wasn't working, she had to go get public assistance. All right, let's go. It is now higher, 56 years later. How is that possible? Unless you're a weak, expendable trash bag bandit who's looking for excuses. Now we know 1960 was 61 years ago, but let's give them 1965. No, let's give them 1968, because 1968 was when the man out of the home rule got repealed because a black woman, not a black man, because black men wanted to be in the home so much, he never once went to the Supreme Court to get that one repealed. And since black women didn't want a man in the home, she went to the Supreme Court and got that rule tossed out, not a black man. So let's give them till 1968. We're almost in 2022, but sure, let's give them 1968. So 53 years. A rule that lasted for about 4 years has somehow kept black men out of the home for 53 years, although it was abolished in 1968. And they somehow have not been able to get back in the home for 53 years because of a rule that they're saying took place in 1968. Because we got to do 1968 because this was literally repealed. The man out of the home rule, federal Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court tossed that out in 1968 because of a black woman. They have not been able to get back in the home since. So now let me play this video for you guys. I'm going to share the screen. Hold on for a second. I'm going to share the screen because I want y'all to see this bonnet wearing struggle bandit. The fact that he's wearing a pink bonnet says everything. But let's listen to the lies of this bonnet-wearing struggle bandit.
So the report says black man.
Oh, hold on, because this is part 2 of his trash bag lies. I gotta go to part 1. That's the second video I need to show you guys. So let's look at the pink bonnet-wearing struggle bandit and the lies that he has to tell. And how pathetic do black men sound saying this anyway? But here.
It's okay not to be educated, but, just go read the Negro Family, the Monty and Henry report from the 80s and 90s, and you'll find out that black women chose government assistance, government jobs over a black man. They knew after the Civil Rights Bill of 1967 that they were using that to only hire black women to fulfill the bill, a woman and a black person. So black men were denied jobs. At that point, after the war on drugs, right, when the crime bill came out in 1966, through the 80s and the 90s, they were saying if you live in the projects, you can't get welfare or food stamps if you have a man in the home.
That's
so black
a
women
lie.
chose that over their black men. Y'all abandoned us first, and then you praise shows like Tyler Perry, where they're showing only black man as back abusive figures and a woman as head of the household, even though it was a man playing the woman, all through the 2000s. You got Oprah as your leader. It's okay not.
Okay, so first let's comment on this first one. Then we'll go into the second one when he gets corrected. First of all, he doesn't even know how to pronounce the Moynihan report. That's number 1. Number 2, the Moynihan report says literally the exact opposite of what he's saying. So let's share the screen again. This is the Moynihan report. The Moynihan report actually says black men deserting their children is what caused welfare. They've been doing this since the 1930s. Since the 1930s, the late 1930s. And it says right here, the breakdown of the Negro family has led to a startling increase in welfare dependency. This is what the Moynihan report says. It doesn't say that black women traded you in for food stamps. It doesn't say that a black man was the head of the home. It actually said the exact opposite. It said, number 1, although there were 4 times the amount of black men in the workforce, because he also said here and said, oh, they were giving all the jobs to black women. No, there weren't. According to this Moynihan report, there were 4 times the amount of black men in the workforce than black women. 4 times the amount. There were 4 times the amount of black women or black men who were given jobs over black women, according to this Moynihan report. We went over it in the previous videos. If you need to go look over those previous videos on the Moynihan report, go look at part 1 and part 2, and it talks about how there were 4 times the amount of black men in the workforce than black women. Nobody gave black women more jobs. Black men received more welfare when it was available, and they received more jobs. They received more help in the education system at school than black women. Black men were handed out these things. So they're trying to say, oh, well, somebody needs to abandon him. He needs to abandon that pink bonnet that he had on his head that nobody told him to get on here wearing. Sir, why are you on here wearing a pink bonnet? Not even able to pronounce the Moynihan report and spreading lies. I don't know where your comprehension is, but here it is in black and white and blue. It says the breakdown of the Negro family has led to a startling increase in welfare dependency. Nowhere on here does it says black women traded black men in for welfare. It just doesn't say that. There's nowhere in this part, there's just nowhere in here that it says that. It does not say that. I don't know why they're trying to make it say that. It doesn't say that. It says that you are deserting and walking out on your family because you couldn't provide for them. It just is what it is.
Now, next time a man bring that up, ask him to show it to me. Say, show it. No. Show it to me. Show it to me. It has been estimated that only a minority of Negro children reach the age of 18 having lived their lives with both of their parents. So it has been only a minority. That means very little black children grow up with both parents in the household. Okay? Now, you notice this is before we get to the welfare dependency. This is before we get to that. Okay? Once again, this measures of family, this organization is found to be diminishing amongst white families and increasing among Negro families. So what they saying was, white men used to do it. White men do it too. White men was doing it first. White men was doing it first. They was leaving their kids first. They was leaving their households first. And then it became increasingly among Negro families. The breakdown of the Negro family, they studied the heck out of us, has led to startling increase in welfare dependency. The majority of Negro children receive public assistance under the AFDC program at one point or another in their childhood. At present, 14% of Negro children are receiving AFDC assistance as against 2% of white children. So we got them by 12% at this point in time. 8% of white children receive such assistance at some time, and against 56% of non-whites, according to the extrapolation based on Hugh data.
It is. Let's look at the second video of this delusion. And then we're going to read more of this because I want to read this little part right here. And then I'm going to go into the part about the youth, because the part about black youth is disturbing. But let's play this second video.
No, you can't trigger us,
because he claims to have read the Moynihan report.
You cannot trigger us. You can't. One thing you can't do is trigger anybody, because the truth is not too complicated. The truth is that men was laying up. These women was getting these apartments, and these men was laying up. That's the truth. The truth is going to trigger you men. It's going to trigger you men before you trigger us women. And I may need some coffee to calm myself down, because coffee calm me down. But if we won't get triggered, y'all going to get triggered before we get triggered. And as of now, we're just reading this. See, everybody get information from different sources, and they want to put the information from different sources compared to the. No, we're talking about this. We're talking about the Moynihan report. That's what I'm talking about right now. We ain't talking about other sources. We're talking about this. And if this did happen, why is it still happening in 2021? Ain't nobody coming to visit no woman house to see if no man is up in there. Ain't nobody kicking no man out the house. Who's doing that? Y'all never recovered from 1960? And we supposed to be
got back in
triggered?
the house. They couldn't get back in the house since 1960.
I know, right? But James said we gonna get triggered. No, you gonna get triggered before we get triggered. Cause y'all men still laying up. Y'all men still laying up. Still laying up. When you go into certain parts of areas in any state, the head of the household is the woman. The head of the household is the woman. And y'all mad because y'all can't figure, oh, they was giving more women a job than the men. Basically, that would not be right, because at that point in time, did you want to be a secretary? Did you want to make dresses? Did you want to sell perfume? What type of jobs were offered to women in the 1960s and the 70s that you guys wanted to do?
Tell me.
No, they ain't no.
That's right, girl.
James, you're not the only one who is.
Tell it.
Who got some brain cells? Okay, I don't like when people they think for some reason that I don't have brain cells.
Tell
and they
it, girl.
automatically think that they know more than me. I just do reporting on videos. I report and I do
commentary. You are right, girl. You are right,
That doesn't
girl.
mean
Tell
I
it.
wouldn't understand. That's not nice to say. That's not nice to say that I wouldn't understand. You don't know what I know. Hey, lovely Lisa, how you doing? It's just, don't assume people don't know. I'm not a baby. I'm not a baby, King James.
Oh, King James was
It's
starting.
deeper than that, and I'll be cursed with a genius IQ.
Tell King
You
James
wouldn't
I'm gonna kick
understand.
his butt.
But what makes you think that I wouldn't understand? So your IQ is not genius, because you told me I wouldn't understand. You don't know that.
Tell James
But I do
be
know
quiet.
what's going on now. Without even reading a book, I know what's going on now. Hey, Miss Apples.
Tell
Hey,
King
Toonie.
James I'm gonna punch him in the face.
Don't forget to hit that like as y'all come in. Please hit that like. Now let's carry on.
Yeah, that was
Don't
James
never
bothering me.
underestimate anybody.
Mhm.
Brain cells. No, I'm biased. You're not biased. There are loads of great black men. And I never said there wasn't. There are loads of great black men. You have never heard me say all black men nothing. We just breaking down this Moynihan report right now.
See, James disturbing my damn show.
You ain't never.
Tell James, put James in the closet.
Never. And no, I'm not biased. No, I'm biased. You're not biased.
We putting James in the closet, disturbing my show.
James, we know this. But
Jeez.
let's finish with this. Remember, we're only going back to this. This was written 56 years ago. This was written 56 years ago. We're just kindly seeing what changed over 56 years. That's all we're doing, James. We're not making it a science project. Aw, thank you, sweetie. I love it. Thank you, Lisa. I'm calling her Lisa. Lovely Lisa. That's all we're doing. No, everything fails.
Don't forget to put
to
James'
obedience,
ass in the
James.
closet.
Falls to obedience.
Put him in the closet.
Yeah,
when he
that's what
comes.
we're doing. We simply gone over something that was written 56 years ago. It's not a science project.
Report. Mind you, he's telling this woman to reference the Moynihan report, but he doesn't know what's in it. He does not know what is in the Moynihan report, although he's telling a woman that certain things are in it that's not in it. Let's go into the next thing that he says when he gets corrected. When he gets corrected, this is then what he comes with, the struggle bandit logic. So now a black woman has come and corrected him, it says, actually, that report said the increase of assistance happened because Black men were leaving their families would go off. We literally just read that part where it said divorce, separation, and desertion of Black men is what led to the increase on being on welfare. It didn't say anybody took them out the home. So let's hear what the struggle bandit has to say now.
So the report says Black men were leaving the home, but since the 80s, the divorce rate in the Black community have been filed by 80% of the women.
Gee.
So look, now he jumps into the 80s. So because she already dismantled his life and said nobody took you out of the home, so now he did a 20-year jump. He jumped out of the 60s. He's not accounting for why Black men were still leaving their home during the 60s, 70s, up through the 80s.
Gene is too funny. They went to go get that old Irish rose, whatever that cheap wine is. They went to go get that old Irish, or whatever you call that.
Okay,
old wine.
Carolyn.
And let's take this time, guys. If you have not hit the like button, please take this time and hit that like if you didn't hit that like. And if you are new to the channel and you would like to subscribe, please hit that subscribe button. Like right now, hit that subscribe button. And if you didn't hit that like, hit that like. I gladly appreciate it if like one person hit the like so we can get into double digits. It'd be very nice. Can we get one more like, please? Can we at least get one like? Can one person give us a like so we can move on? We just need one like, one like, please. We would like to move forward. But y'all got to support the channel with the likes. We need one like, just one.
Black men, 30% of Black men are not married, 20% of Black men are. So this is a kitten. This is a pink bonnet wearing sugar booty, I'm addicted to boys kitten. That's what this is.
I don't think you know how math works, but that leaves roughly 20% of men left. They're the ones that have all the kids and that aren't married. So I don't know what you're talking about.
And of course he doesn't know what she's talking about. We know that he doesn't know what she's talking about because he jumped to divorce, and the whole premise of the report is about desertion. Desertion and divorce are two separate things. A man can still provide for his children even when he is divorced. This is the same thing that Struggle Bandit called up and said. This is the same thing the Struggle Bandit said. Well, first of all, we shouldn't even talk about the divorce rate in terms of the breakup of the Black family because Black men are not even getting married. So most of the families who are broken up, it is not because of a divorce, because you're not even married.
And you can't compare Black men and Black women being married, because if it's 50% of Black men that are married, then that means it's 50% of Black women that are married. Who they married to? Themselves? That means if more Black men are married than Black women, but they still married to a woman, right? So you don't score no point. That don't give you no points. Sometimes it could just be because we outnumber you guys. Yeah, because we outnumber you, you can't compare. So if it's 50% more Black men that's married, then it's 50% more Black women that's married, or women that's married to these Black men. They're not marrying themselves. I mean, they are, but we're talking about 60 years ago. This is over almost 60 years ago. Now let's go.
Have to get married to be divorced. So why are you bringing up some divorce statistics for a population of people who don't really get married? The majority of these homes are not married homes.
That's
They're
why the
homes
men
in
had
which
to
Black
leave.
men are going around creating children like they've been doing since the 1930s and not taking care of them. Furthermore, when we talk about those divorces, guess what was happening before Black women were able to file for divorces? Because he's saying, oh, well, in the 80s, well, yeah, genius, they started filing divorces in the 80s because they weren't able to prior to then. Women were not able to initiate divorces, I think, until at least the late 70s. So why would you be talking about, oh, well, these divorces are initiated by women as if something happened during that time other than the fact that women were given the right? The only thing that changed is that women were given the right to file for divorces. But guess what? If black women were able to file for divorces in the 30s and in the 40s, do you think that the divorce rate wouldn't be just as high? It would be. Black women would have been divorcing black men if they had the legal right to do so, but they didn't. So now all we're doing is reflecting how poor of partners black men are. The divorce rate simply shows black men's inability to manage relationships. But why are we even talking about divorce when it comes to the breakup of the family? Y'all ain't married. Most of y'all ain't married. Most black men ain't married. Most black men have children. Contrary to what this struggle bandit is saying, most black men have children. Many of them have children by multiple women. Many of them can't provide for their family. Just like the Moynihan report said, many of them are walking out of the home. Nothing's keeping them out of the home. It just is what it is. It just is what it is. But see, whenever you trap them up in a lie, because that dude hasn't read the Moynihan report. Most black men have not read the Moynihan report because most black men have slow comprehension and can't.
James, so what you're saying is that they don't love you, they just want your money? Are you trying to say white women and Indian women?
I mean, he understands how to interpret them. That kitten over there, Kevin Samuels, he don't know how to interpret statistical data. No, he doesn't. He's not smart. He's not smart. And that's why you'll have you guys remember when E. Dean Cole was over here and I asked him who was Kevin Samuels smart in comparison to? And he couldn't even tell you who he was smart in comparison to. The reason why black men think Kevin Samuels is smart is because they're dumb. That's why.
Oh,
black men think Kevin Samuels is smart is because they're dumb.
Oh,
nobody outside of the black community literally puts any merit. You don't see men of no color or women of no color going around spouting out these statistics that Kevin Samuels put down there. They don't, because he's dumb and he's incorrect. The only people who actually watch Kevin Samuels is black people. Meanwhile, he's out there attention whoring as much as he can, trying to do everything to actually become mainstream. And he's not going to be mainstream.
Yeah, he's
not, because he's dumb.
He's mainstream.
He's dumb.
He's mainstream.
DJ Vlad showed how dumb and remedial and cowardly this man is. That was a pussycat doll sitting up in front of DJ Vlad. That wasn't an alpha high value man.
Oh, I got to check it out.
That was a little bloody bussy sitting there walking back on his own statements. Like, please, these dudes are the laughing stock of society. They're the laughing stock of society. It's not hard for a black man, no matter how dusty he is, to get a black woman to like him. Kevin Samuels getting some black women to like him. Who's surprised by that? Ain't nobody surprised by that. I'm certainly not surprised. The only people who really like black men are black women. Newsflash. Nobody else cares about or values black men except black women. If black men disappear right now, nobody would care except for black women. Nobody. They would simply replace black men with their biracial children, which is what they're doing now. They would simply take black men's biracial male children and make him the new face of black men and capitalize off of him like they're doing off of Drake, and nobody else would care except black women. The only people who would miss black men are black women. Nobody else. And that's why doing Jim Crow, when they were being strung up from trees, nobody cared. They simply sat around, they celebrated it, they laughed, they kikied, they threw events. Nobody cared except black women. Nobody cares about black men but black women. It just is what it is. And that's why they will manipulate black women into being these ride or dies for black men, because ain't nobody else gonna do it. Ain't nobody fixing to advocate for black men. Ain't nobody about to sit up and go like stand on the front line for black men. Don't nobody care except black women. Nobody cares about black men but black women. It just is what it is. And that's why they're trying to keep black women caring, because once black women stop caring, nobody will care about it. Nobody's even going to want them sexually once black women don't. Beige and Ingress 2 says, "Seeing you look great in your glasses. Beautiful. Don't be afraid you look bad in glasses." Well, thank you. These are just my light filtering glasses. But, oh, what's going on? Hold on. Because the light on my computer
Is she playing that or are you there, Tony?
What?
Oh, hold on, you guys, because I think it might be because.
What happened, Queen?
Hold on, give me 1 second to plug in my laptop, and then I'm going to get into this report. Yeah, but nobody cares about black men but black women. They just don't. Nobody cares about black men at all.
DOD, both extremes are sick. You got the extreme men and the extreme women. Both sides are sick. But I still like to hear the extremes of both of them. I like to hear they flock over these conscious creatures. They want men that smart. If what I'm saying is incorrect, why are these conscious creatures getting paid all of this money? If we don't like smart men, if we don't like intelligent men, if we don't like men that we think is about something, prove me wrong. That's how they got that Hotep hustle going on. Women flock to good men until they realize they're not. And their horror stories is worse than Pookie and Ray Ray horror stories. At least Pookie and Ray Ray ain't got that much money. No, stop in the ghetto. Girl, I'm trying to tell you, I'm a female. I'm trying to tell you what's going on, James. You're not listening. You're not listening. That's what you assume. I'm telling you, that's horror stories that I have heard and from us have ways. But a lot of them are very abusive. But with Pookie and Ray
are abusive.
I didn't say all, but
raise. Go find you the one that are obviously.
You know, some people, and I'm talking about men and women,
is being accountable.
Troublesome, but this is the be at times like the in-laws come over. I used to be in the park. I used to be on the bench for hours, get my hero. This is where I'm living in New York. They say, "Why you man? I don't want to deal with that." You know, I don't. Because I didn't come from so I know exactly what you're talking about. And sometimes it be like certain. Oh, maybe you did something. Why I gotta do something? I'm avoiding everything. Then I go sometime. One time it'll be in the summertime. I go got me some paper plates. I used to make my food, put it in the bag, plastic fork, go right back outside, eat it and stuff like that. Time it. Okay, I'm seeing they get in the cab, go up there. Tell you anything you want to talk. No, there's nothing to talk about. I already said what I have to say. I'm not going back, and that's what it was. But at the same time, you know, it eats up with you, especially when you don't have a safety net that you could go to.
Yeah, and then when you flip it, then you got the women. They be so happy that once they look at their time, like, oh, damn, he coming home. Like I said, go both ways. Like, damn, I wish he go find a girlfriend. And that's what, like, what? You know, I'm young again. Like, why are they trying to get the man a girlfriend? Can you get away from me? You know, that's because there's no boundaries. Like, when you're grooming people, it doesn't work because you're being fake. That's something, it has to be something that's already in you. If you could teach it all.
Hawk, come in, come in!
That Biden put on there. A Supreme Court judge said, wait on in the chat box. If y'all are happy with all this stuff that Biden is doing, let me tell you guys something, because I want to get off of this topic because I know this is a hot button topic for a lot of people. A lot of people got a lot of different opinions, and I'm going to say this again: do whatever you think is best for you. My opinion. Call Me Ali said, I'm in the military and they forced us to take it. They said take it or be dishonest. They would have just had to. And I've done stuff that really didn't happen. Nobody ever took black men out of the home. Nobody ever took black men out of the home. But let's entertain it and say, hypothetically, somebody took black men out of the home. So black men are saying in the 60s, they were taken out of the home for welfare. So if we do 1960 and we do the math, that's 61 years ago. They're saying a rule, the man out of the home rule, that, mind you, they did not go to the Supreme Court so that they can get it repealed. A black woman did. They're saying that this rule that literally lasted for 4 years max, they now cannot rebound from it 61 years later.
Hey, Nicole.
It has been
Hey,
61 years since the 1960s. 61 years from 1960. 1960 to today is 61 years. Now, we can say maybe 1964. Fine. Let's give them 1965. That was the Civil Rights Movement. So then we would subtract 5 from 61, 60, 59, 58, 57, 56. 56 years, they have not been able to rebound. So since welfare took them out of the home at least 56 years ago, they somehow could not get back in it in 2021. And now their rate of absentee father is actually higher.
Hey,
now that rule has not been in place, their absentee father rate is now higher 56 years later. How is that possible? Unless you're a weak, expendable trash bag bandit who's looking for excuses. How? And now we know 1960 was 61 years ago, but let's give them 1965.
I did my commentary on the first half of this video yesterday. Y'all can check that out, but I'm just showing the whole video in its entirely because we had an unexpected panel yesterday. So today we're just going to watch the video. So after she starts off from where we left off, I will come back with my commentary. But whoever didn't see it, hey, it's a bonus. You get to see the video in its entirety. All my lovely, beautiful doctors and
Hey,
and
Charlene.
ministers, reverends.
Hey,
up in
Webby.
here. Who
Weedy.
could be- What chat could beat that?
No, let's give them 1968 because 1968 was when the man out of the home rule got repealed because a black woman, not a black man, because black men wanted to be in a home so much he never once went to the Supreme Court to get that one repealed. And since black women didn't want a man in the home, she went to the Supreme Court and got that rule tossed out, not a black man. So let's give them till 1968. We're almost in 2022, but sure, let's give them 1968. So 53 years. A rule that lasted for about 4 years has somehow kept black men out of the home for 53 years, although it was abolished in 1968. And they somehow have not been able to get back in the home for 53 years because of a rule that they're saying took place in 1968. Because we got to do 1968 because this was literally repealed. The man out of the home rule, federal Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court tossed that out in 1968 because of a black woman. They have not been able to get back in the home since. So now let me play this video for you guys. I'm going to share the screen. Hold on for a second. I'm going to share the screen because I want y'all to see this bonnet wearing struggle bandit. The fact that he's wearing a pink bonnet says everything. But let's listen to the lies of this bonnet wearing struggle bandit.
So the report says black men.
Hold on. This is part 2 of his tragedy. I don't know why they're trying to make it say that. It doesn't say that. It says that you are deserting and walking out on your family because you couldn't provide for them. It just is what it is. Let's look at the second video of this delusion.
If you want the truth, Nia, you're going to have to follow me.
This little part right here, and then I'm going to go into the part about the youth, because the part about black youth is disturbing. But let's play this second video of his delusion, because he claims to have read the Moynihan report. Mind you, he's telling this woman to reference the Moynihan report, but he doesn't know what's in it. He does not know what is in the Moynihan report, although he's telling a woman that certain things are in it that's not in it. Let's go into the next thing that he says when he gets corrected. When he gets corrected, this is then what he comes with, the struggle bandit logic. So now a black woman has come and corrected him. It says, actually, that report said the increase of assistance happened because black men were leaving their families to go off. We literally just read that part where it said divorce, separation, and desertion of black men is what led to the increase on being on welfare. It didn't say anybody took them out the home. So let's hear what the struggle bandit has to say now.
So the report says black men were leaving the home, but since the 80s, the divorce rate in the black community have been filed by 80% of the women.
So look, now he jumps into the 80s. So because she already dismantled his lie and said nobody took you out of the home, so now he did a 20-year jump. He jumped out of the 60s. He's not accounting for why black men were still leaving their home during the 60s, 70s, up through the 80s. And now he's talking about marriage. So now he jumps to divorce.
Black men are leaving the home, even though the women are the ones doing the majority of divorce filings.
And see, he's conflating two ideas. Let me just play it for you guys, and then I'll play it again, because he's conflating two different things, because he doesn't have the comprehension. He's on the Tyrone spectrum. Hopefully Angela will be up here to give you the profile of the Tyrone spectrum. Understand that he's on it from the pink bonnet to his sugary, pooched out DSL lips. He's on the Tyrone spectrum. Let's go.
So the report says black men were leaving the home, but since the 80s, the divorce rate in the black community have been filed by 80% of the women. But black men are leaving the home, even though the women are the one doing the majority of divorce filings. I don't know. That was my goddamn sense, if I'm honest with you. I'm just confused.
He is confused because he's on the spectrum.
When y'all are the one, the black women are the ones that have multiple kids, but multiple black men, who are roughly 15 to 20% of the black man population, because 51% of black men are single and have no kids, and 30% are married. I don't know.
See, this is the false narrative that the Kitten and Hills is telling them that 51% of black men are single and childless. That is not true. 51% of black males between the ages of 18 and 24. So they're talking about a certain population of black men. 30% of black men are not married, 20% of black men are. So this is a kitten. This is a pink bonnet wearing sugar booty, I'm addicted to boys kitten. That's what this is.
Like, I don't think you know how math works, but that leaves roughly 20% of
Hey,
men,
Queen.
Hey, dear.
all the kids, and that aren't married. So I don't know what you're talking about.
She's got a little bit of echo, but not him. That's weird.
And of course he doesn't know what she's talking about. We know that he doesn't know what she's talking about because he jumped to divorce, and the whole premise of the report is about desertion. Desertion and divorce are two separate things. A man can still provide for his children even when he is divorced. This is the same thing that Struggle Bandit called up and said. This is the same thing the Struggle Bandit said. Well, first of all, we shouldn't even talk about the divorce rate in terms of the breakup of the black family because black men are not even getting married. So most of the families who are broken up, it is not because of a divorce, because you're not even married. You have to get married to be divorced. So why are you bringing up some divorce statistics for a population of people who don't really get married? The majority of these homes are not married homes. They're homes in which black men are going around creating children like they've been doing since the 1930s and not taking care of them. Furthermore, when we talk about those divorces, guess what was happening before black women were able to file for divorces? Because he's saying, oh, well, in the 80s, well, yeah, genius, they started filing divorces in the 80s because they weren't able to prior to them. Women were not able to initiate divorces, I think, until at least the late 70s. So why would you be talking about, oh, well, these divorces are initiated by women as if something happened during that time other than the fact that women were getting the right? The only thing that changed is that women were given the right to file for divorces. But guess what? If black women were able to file for divorces in the 30s and in the 40s, do you think that the divorce rate wouldn't be just as high? It would be. Black women would have been divorcing black men if they had the legal right to do so, but they didn't. So now all we're doing is...
Ooh, don't forget, guys, whoever didn't see it yesterday, or whoever saw it yesterday, I'm only playing part. I'm playing the whole entire video in full because we didn't finish it yesterday. So this is the part 2. But I started it from the beginning so y'all can see it in its entirety. So if y'all want to hear commentation, Lord have mercy.
Commentary.
Hey, Queens. I was waiting for you because you had to go out, and what I do, went right back to sleep. So good thing I did. You're here.
Oh, we got a storm. It is storming. The wind is blowing like 50 miles an hour. I mean, the rain is blowing. It's crazy.
You know, people from the West don't give. I mean, the East don't give two.
I'm mad at you though. I got a bone to pick with you.
I didn't do nothing. I did.
I went to say hi to my baby, and he talking about, I'm gonna tell Tony T you call me baby. I said, what? No, my baby.
Well, you should have came up with it. All right, here we go. Here we go.
I did. You know what?
I started singing the song because the girl put it in the chat, and then I was like, "Hey, baby, see, you should got to be a little bit faster." Now let's go.
All right, I got you, Dwayne.
But you can still keep the worm.
I got you, Dwayne.
You ain't said nothing. I've had somebody say that. It looks out for a sister. Then bye. Let's finish this show. See how she start with me. See how she start. She walk and started. But at least she greet me first. Isn't she lovely? All right, so the part when it gets to the middle, then we're gonna start doing commentary on it. But I don't know if you've seen the beginning or not. If anything you would like to say about the beginning so far, what she's saying?
No, she is riding him all the way to the end, riding him for real. I can't wait to get to the end so she can just let him have it.
Then we gotta get to the next. After this one is the next one where he says that if a man don't have problems. If the men have problem with the women, then they should seek another MANN. So that's directly coming up next. Cause yeah,
where he getting his information?
Himself. All right, let's go. We've seen this already, so we can let this go smooth until you get to the part to when we stopped.
Reflecting how poor partners Black men are. The divorce rate simply shows Black men's inability to manage relationships. But why are we even talking about divorce when it comes to the breakup of the family? Y'all ain't married. Most of y'all ain't married.
Duh.
Most Black men ain't married.
Duh.
Most Black men have children.
They laid up.
Contrary to what this struggle bandit is saying, most Black men have children. Many of them have children by multiple women. Many of them can provide for their family. Just like the Moynihan report said, many of them are walking out of the home. Nothing's keeping them out of the home. It just is what it is.
It twice with the twist.
It just is what it is. But see, whenever you trap them up in a lie, because that dude hasn't read the Moynihan report. Most Black men have not read the Moynihan report because most Black men have slow comprehension and can't read it anyway. Most Black men do not have actual reading ability. It just is what it is. They don't. Most Black men have slow comprehension. They're not reading. So that Black man, I can guarantee you, I can put money on it. He has not read the Moynihan report. He doesn't even know how to pronounce it. He doesn't even know how to pronounce the Moynihan report. Before Black men were creating unmarried single mothers, they were creating married single mothers. They were just walking out of the home because they were so broke and dusty, they couldn't afford to actually file for divorce. So they just left. And yes, that 51% does include incarcerated Black men. But if you don't even know how to pronounce a Moynihan report or comprehend it, then you also don't know how to comprehend statistics. And just because a struggle kitten sits up and spouts out statistics doesn't mean he understands how to interpret them. That kitten over there, Kevin Samuels, he don't know how to interpret statistical data. No, he doesn't. He's not smart. He's not smart. And that's why you'll have Black. Do you guys remember when E. Dean Cole was over here and I asked him who was Kevin Samuel smart in comparison to? And he couldn't even tell you who he was smart in comparison to. The reason why Black men think Kevin Samuel is smart is because they're dumb. That's why. Black men think Kevin Samuel this smart is because they're dumb. Nobody outside of the Black community literally puts any merit. You don't see men of no color or women of no color going around spouting out these statistics that Kevin Samuels put down there. They don't, because he's dumb and he's incorrect. The only people who actually watch Kevin Samuels is Black people. Meanwhile, he's out there attention whoring as much as he can, trying to do everything to actually become mainstream. And he's not going to be mainstream. He's not, because he's dumb. He's dumb. DJ Vlad showed how dumb and remedial and cowardly this man is. That was a pussycat doll sitting up in front of DJ Vlad. That wasn't an alpha high value man. That was a little bloody bussy sitting there walking back on his own statements. Like, please, these dudes are the laughing stock of society. They're the laughing stock of society. It's not hard for a Black man, no matter how dusty he is, to get a Black woman to like him. Kevin Samuels getting some Black women to like him. Who's surprised by that? Ain't nobody surprised by that. I'm certainly not surprised. The only people who really like Black men are Black women. Newsflash. Nobody else cares about or values Black men except Black women. If Black men disappear right now, nobody would care except for Black women. Nobody. They would simply replace Black men with their biracial children, which is what they're doing now. They would simply take Black men's biracial male children and make him the new face of Black men and capitalize off of him like they're doing off of Drake, and nobody else would care except Black women. The only people who would miss Black men are Black women. Nobody else. And that's why during Jim Crow, when they were being strung up from trees, nobody cared. They simply sat around, they celebrated it, they laughed, they kikied, they threw events. Nobody cared except Black women. Nobody cares about Black men but Black women. It just is what it is. And that's why they will manipulate Black women into being these ride or dies for Black men, because ain't nobody else gonna do it. Ain't nobody fixing to advocate for Black men. Ain't nobody about to sit up and go like stand on no front line for Black men. Don't nobody care except Black women. Nobody cares about Black men but Black women. It just is what it is. And that's why they're trying to keep Black women caring, because once Black women stop caring, nobody will care about it. Nobody's even going to want them sexually once Black women don't. The Aging Ingress too said, "Sing, you look great in your glasses. Beautiful. Don't be afraid. You look bad in glasses." Well, thank you. These are just my light filtering glasses. But oh, what's going on? Hold on, because the light on my computer is being weird. Oh, hold on, you guys, because I think it might be because. Hold on, give me 1 second to plug in my laptop, and then I'm going to get into this report. Yeah, but nobody cares about Black men but Black women. They just don't. Nobody cares about Black men at all. And unfortunately, I don't care about the opinion of Black men enough to sit up and listen to what he says about relationships. Black men are the biggest failures when it comes to relationships, but I'm about to say, how am I about to sit up and listen to the most failed group of men on the face of the planet talk about what a woman needs to do in order to be in a relationship? You're a failure. You're a failure. You don't know what a good woman is, a good feminine woman is, unless she's attached to a white man. What are you talking about? You can't even create the women that you like as a Black man. You're that much of a failure. Need I constantly remind you that you're looking towards the very men that you're saying is oppressing you to create feminine, submissive women for you? You're a joke. You're just a joke. Nobody takes you seriously. No one takes you seriously. Black men sit up and complain, "Oh, Black women too masculine, Black women, y'all ain't feminine, y'all ain't cooperative, y'all ain't submissive." And he's too dumb to think to realize that's a reflection on him. You might as well just tell the entire society you're so dumb and ineffective that you can't even, how are you begging your oppressor to create desirable women for you? It may, like, what is there anything that you don't depend on men of no color to get you? Really? Really? Is there anything that Black men do not depend on men of no color to provide him?
Renergy Lift Multi-Action Night Cream. Visibly reduces wrinkles in only 14 nights. Lancome.
And all he's going to do with his so-called preferences and submissive women and these cooperative women, they may be that. Who knows? I don't date women of no color. They may be submissive and cooperative, but I know they're getting the same Black man. I do know that they're getting the same Black man despite being submissive, despite being feminine, despite being cooperative. The only thing that Black men are doing is dragging these women down into the dust that he's in. That's all they're doing. And that's why they're all over social media, specifically TikTok, complaining about getting the same Black men. That's all. The reason why they're complaining about getting the same Black men. I've yet to see a woman of no color come out and say, "Oh, well, Black women, you lied so much. Black men are the best maids. The problem is y'all." Put a one in the chat box if you ever heard a woman of no color come out and say that.
Hey, mother,
that Black women were lying, that Black men are good maids, that Black men take care of their family, that Black men don't create single mothers.
Hey,
put one
mother
in the
love.
chat box if you've ever seen a woman of no color say that. And if you have seen it, send me the link to the video so we can listen to it. I've never seen it.
I've
The
never
only
seen
thing
it
I've
either.
seen is women of no color sitting up on TikTok crying, complaining because they got the same black men. Okay, so send me the videos. I am Koa, Black Sun. If y'all are putting the one in the chat box, send me the video. Send me the video. For the people who are putting the one in the chat box, send me the video of a woman of no color that you saw who is sitting up saying that black women are wrong and that black men are good fathers. Put it in the chat box.
It's sad, but them videos do exist. Them videos do exist. As a matter of fact, people made their channels with men, but the problem was the ones that I've seen is not American men. It's like men from different parts of the country, but they are still melanated men. But it hasn't been no American men, but there are channels that exist, and they are big, huge channels of mixed races that's together. That channels they're bigger than smaller channels, just because but it's a lot of them with the black girls with the Chinese men. Well, I'd be like, whoa, that's the new flavor now, Chinese men. I'm like, I would never try that secret, that Asian secret. I am sorry. No, ma'am. But I think Cynthia should know that them videos do exist. Mother loves, how are you?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are good fathers that represent and everything. They have channels. She just don't be looking at them.
Now, far as saying that they good fathers and stuff like that, well, even though they're not saying it, they're still saying it because it's a complete channel. It's, so you see the good, the bad, you see the good and the bad. But they don't have to sit back and say it, but it's technically the man is still there, right? They're raising their kids, right? And so that answers that question. I have to stop and say something. I don't know where the heck we left off yesterday before we had our unexpected panel, because that panel wasn't expected. I am all ears today. No eyes. I am exhausted. Been in the ER last night. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mother Love. But sit back and relax and be all ears. We will surely be talking to you. Go get some rest. And I hope your baby girl is all right. I hope all is well.
Yeah, prayers.
Put the link in the chat.
Sorry, boss lady. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying prayers to Mother Love.
Oh. Ay.
Box. I'm going to take it that the people who are putting one are trolls, and I'm going to start blocking y'all. This is how I'm going to weed out the dusty trolls. Because if you putting the one in the chat box and you ain't dropping no link, I'm about to block you. I'm going to block you. Send me the video. If you're putting one in the chat box, send me the video of the woman of no color or any non-black woman saying that black women are lying, that black men are good fathers and protectors and providers, and how they send it to me. Princess Z said, non-black community, they're seeing what's going on. I was on Clubhouse and a black woman in her 60s stated that welfare did not take men out of the home. She stated a lot of them willingly left. Black women had to turn to welfare for help. Oh, we know that because this Moynihan report that they keep throwing around, it says the same thing. Okay, well, look, Aaron Burks, you know what? If you got to wait for somebody to block you to get you out of a space that you shouldn't be in, then that just speaks to your lack of intellect. Nobody should have to block you. If you don't want to be here, you should just go. Black Velvet said, if black men vanished, the black femicide would drastically decrease and black girls would have higher self-esteem and acknowledge our self-worth. And nobody would care if black men disappeared. Let's just be completely honest. And look, for the triggered struggle bandits in the chat box, let's do this. What is one thing that black men provide that would be missed if he disappeared?
Well,
If you disappeared today, what is the one thing the world would miss when you left?
I'm thinking.
Couture Love said those 5 black males Hillary called super predators admitted that they would literally go out in gangs attacking people at night. They needed to be arrested. Black men have done a good job of proving that they're super predators, and so they will tell you. Oh, hey, Taz. I'm still waiting for these struggle bandits to tell me that if they disappear tomorrow, what would the world miss? Except black women. Black women don't count. But what would you be missed for?
Oh, okay.
And what wouldn't we be able to, what wouldn't we be able to replace? No, we already covered basketball. They will use black men's biracial males to replace him in sports. They're already trying to do that now.
Yep, exactly.
It's not even sports. There's enough biracial males who have black fathers who are taking those places. No, they ain't. Not even hip hop. Nope. I don't know if y'all been paying attention to hip hop, but a lot of these white boys, they sound just like these black dudes.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's not get on G-Eazy. Let's not get on the white dude who sings the Baddie soundtrack who sounds like a black man. Let's not mention Jack Harlow, who also sounds like a black man. Hip hop wouldn't even need you. White boy, they're co-opting hip hop, so they don't even need you for that.
Nope, exactly.
Drake is the biggest rapper. Right now, Drake is the most popular rapper right now, a biracial man. You don't need black men. You can replace them with their biracial children. Anything that black men can do, their biracial males can do.
Yep.
Jack Harlow, when Jack Harlow raps, he sounds like a black man. Let me find out who the dude who sings the Baddie soundtrack. Let me let y'all listen to the Baddie soundtrack.
No, you would not.
From Baddie's ATL. Because I didn't even know that this dude was white.
Think of that powerful message.
She produced this for this man of no color. So, yeah, no, nobody needs you for nothing, black man. Sorry. You can get off your high horse.
Yeah, but they will have to also see when we speak, this is what they do to manipulate or try to manipulate us. We speak of them as a whole, right? Being that they speak of us as a whole. But they make sure they break themselves up into categories. So they can, this is what I was trying to say, so they can scapegoat, so they won't look like they are Dusty or Pookie or Ray Ray. I know what I'm saying. And people are going to go with what they know. Why would I take a chance with what I don't know? At least I do know this. And then people, at least I do know I won't get my heart broken. I mean, I flip the coin. But they trying to act like Pookie and Ray Ray is a man on the corner. No, Pookie and Ray Ray mean men that ain't ish. Now, the people on the corner selling the pharmaceutical stuff, them are either thugs, drug dealers, but there's names for all of them too. Pookie and Ray Ray mean men that ain't crap. That don't mean the man on the corner getting drunk because they drink too. They smoke too. Everything the lower class do, the higher class do it too. And guess what? The higher class do it even more because they got more money. Right, mother? Now I'm calling her Mother Love. Right, boss lady?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and then all this leveling up. What nobody still can explain what that means to them. That means picking. No, that's not me leveling up. That's me picking. You can't never. I'm so tired of saying this. Stop going by the wolf in sheep clothing and think that you're choosing or you're picking better. You might be picking the same old Pookie and Ray Ray, a man that ain't ish. Because right about now, I think we got to start commentating. I think all this, I didn't hear this part yesterday. Oh, gosh. I ordered my capsules too, boss lady.
Oh, good. Yeah, because you'll be surprised. Oh, you already know. You just need the capsules.
Well, I have some already. Yeah. I
Yeah.
said like the taste.
That's why I always buy the capsules. I ain't trying to work with that. I know I ain't gonna be able to do it. My daughter's the one who started. Well, no, I started her on it, but she likes the liquid, but I just can't gulp it down every day. I can't do it.
No, I cannot. That's why I bought the capsule.
Maybe that's why I ain't got no man, because I can't swallow.
Bye.
You can get off your high horse.
Bye.
And that's why the reckoning.
You've been around Ms. Rod, haven't you? You've been around Ms. Rod, haven't you?
Yeah.
Y'all been chilling on a DL, haven't you?
Oh yeah, that's my girl.
It's coming because you're expendable. Nobody needs you.
Corrupted.
Nobody needs you. And the coldest part about it is that black men have set the stage. Black men have ushered in and embraced his own replacement because he's not smart. He just ain't smart. You ain't smart. You walked your replacement right up into the hip hop industry. You did it. You created, with women of no color, you created your athletic replacement. You didn't think that you were doing it because you're not smart, because you lack foresight, just like P.W. Botha said. Let's look at what P.W. Botha said about black men not having any foresight. Let me find it really quickly, and then I'm going to get into it. Because literally every single thing that they predicted about black men, it was true. It was true. Because he's dumb. That dude, he talked about black men and how where did it go? I gotta put P.W. Botha in here. Hold on. I had it bookmarked on my computer, and you guys know what happened? The website must have went down. Let me see if I can get it. I don't think that this is the one. For live stream, and I'll go over everything P.W. Botha said about black men. But in that report, he talked about how black men lack foresight, black men have self-hatred, black men can be paid off, and then use like everything we already know. But let me read this little part right here. And then I'm going to skip down to where I left off that last time and talk about the youth. But it says the percent of non-white families headed by a female is more than double the percent for whites. And you guys have to understand, this was pre-immigration. So when they say non-white, they're really referring to black, because a lot of this is pre-immigration. Immigration didn't come until after the civil rights movement. So when they reference non-white, by and large, they're talking about black. But anyway, fatherless non-white families increased by a sixth between 1950 and 1960, but held constant for white families. It has been estimated that only a minority of Negro children reach the age of 18, having lived all their life with both of their parents. Wow. Once again, this measure of family disorganization is found to be diminishing among white families and increasing among Negro families. So basically, his degeneracy had been increasing. The breakdown of—
Now, I would like to say, like I said yesterday, white men was doing it first. White men was leaving their kids first. And then we started to leave our family. And they started getting back with their family. Now, it may not have been a loving family. It could have been just as abusive. It could have been even worse. Hey, they are, they have done things to people. So that don't mean they change when they come down to their own family. So We don't know what's going on in their household, but they started going back in their household, and we just started leaving our household. But that doesn't make it better, but at least they did go back home, you know? So let's go. So we're not going to make it like it was just us. No, it was them. And then we caught up, and then we surpassed them, and we still way, way past them.
The Negro family have led to a startling increase in welfare dependency. The majority of Negro children receive public assistance under the AFDC program at one point or another in their childhood.
Oh, I read this.
At present, 14% of Negro children are receiving AFDC assistance as against 2% of white children. 8% of white children receive such assistance at some time, at against 56% of non-whites, according to an extrapolation based on HEAL data. Let it be noted, however, that out of a total of 1.8 million non-white illegitimate children in the nation in 1961, 1.3 million were not receiving aid under the AFDC program, although a substantial number have or will receive aid at some time in their life. Know what that means? That means that although white men were creating illegitimate children, he was still providing for them, so they didn't need to be on welfare. That's what that means. That's what that means. So when that struggle bandit is talking about divorce and all of this other stuff, that's no excuse, because men of no color were still creating illegitimate children, but they were not on welfare. It just is what it is. In the beginning, the number of AFDC families in which the father was absent because of desertion was less than a third of the total. So they're saying when they initially got on welfare, in which the family was absent because of desertion, it was less than a third. Today, it's 2/3. So they're saying today, now it is increased. So they're saying the primary reason these families are on welfare is because the father walked out. They said his absence wasn't because he was disabled. It wasn't because he went to war. It wasn't because he was dead. It was because he walked out. That is what it's saying. I'll read it again. In the beginning, the number of AFDC families in which the father was absent because of desertion was less than a third of the total. Today, it is 2/3. HEW estimates that between 2/3 and 3/4 of the 50% increase from 1948, this is 1948 to 1955, in the number of absent father families receiving ADC may be explained by an increase in broken homes in the population. It is not saying that Black women said, we want welfare instead of this provider man. It's saying that you walked out. You walked out. You were not at war. Nobody disabled you. You walked out. A 1960 study of aid to dependent children in Cook County, Illinois stated, the typical ADC mother in Cook County was married and had children by her husband, married single mothers who deserted. His whereabouts are unknown, and he does not contribute to the support of his children. So that struggle bandit talking about marriage, oh, if you guys just get married, nah, bruh, a Black man will make you a married single mother. That is what this is. In a 1960 study of aid to dependent children, the typical, when they say the typical, this is the most common scenario. Most of the situations, most of them, they're saying most of the women, the Black women who are on welfare, the typical ADC mother in Cook County was married and had children by her husband. She did not have illegitimate children. She was married. Her husband deserted her. His whereabouts are unknown, and he does not contribute to the support of his children. They might as well have typed in here, she was a married single mother. They might as well have just put in here the typical ADC mother in Cook County was a married single mother. Her husband left, period. She is not free to remarry because she can't initiate a divorce. She can't get divorced because women don't have that right. So she's not free to remarry and has had an illegitimate child since her children left. Almost 90% of the ADC families are Negro. So 90% of the Black women who were on ADC in Chicago were married single mothers. They were married single mothers. Zodi Keish, it already explained why they walked out. They walked out because they were broke, dusty, and couldn't afford a divorce. That's why they walked out. We already got to that part. We already got to that point. So look, I don't want to say I told you so to Black women. I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. I told you that if you get married, it is not going to stop you from being a single mother. I know that this is your badge of honor. I know this is what Black men told you is going to make you have some worth. I know they run around and tell you, oh, if you got married, marry before you carry, no wedding, no womb. You don't know the man that you're dealing with. You don't know the man that you're dealing with. The man that you're dealing with will leave you a married single mother in a heartbeat, and they've been doing it since the 1940s. Unfortunately, my mom was a married single mother. My mom was a married single mother. She didn't have any legitimate children. She had knew her husband since she was 15. So it's not like she went and just jumped in a bed with somebody she knew nearly all her life. She was a married single mother. Married single mother. I wonder how many Black women today are married single mothers. So let's read this part again, and then I'll skip down to where it says the youth, so we can talk about how Black men set their youth up for failure because they really don't care. A 1960 study of aid to dependent children in Cook County, Illinois stated the typical ADC mother in Cook County was married and had children by her husband who deserted her. His whereabouts are unknown, and he does not contribute to the support of his children. She is not free to remarry and has had an illegitimate child since her husband left. Almost 90% of the ADC families are Negro. So 90% of the Black women are married single mothers. It just is what it is. The steady expansion of this welfare program and the public assistance programs in general can be taken as a measure of the steady disintegration of the Negro family structure over the past generation in the United States. Again, they're saying that they had to expand welfare because Black men at large rates were deserting their families. That's what this means. The steady expansion of this welfare program as a public assistance program in general can be taken as a measure of the steady disintegration of the Negro family structure over the past generation in the United States. Black men have caused the disintegration of their own family structure, and they're blaming it on welfare. That's what they're doing. Now, let me go down here to talk about the youth, because we already went over all this that I'm skipping over. We already went over it. That's why I'm skipping over it. We already read this. And if you want to see what we talked about with this, go look at part 1 and part 2, because we already read over this. Now, hopefully we won't have any struggle bandits coming into my chat box talking about welfare took them out of the home. Hopefully Black women will stop coming into my chat box talking about no wedding, no womb, and marry before you carry. Hopefully Black women will know that if you marry a black man, you can end up as a married single mother, because this is just what they do. They've been doing it for a very long time. Let's see, 1940s. Let me tell y'all how long Black men have been creating married single mothers. Let's do 2021, and you subtract that from the year that they're talking about it here. So 2021, 1945, because that's what they mentioned. Black men have been creating married single mothers for 76 years at least. For at least 76 years, Black men have been creating married single mothers Do not come into my comment section, Black women, telling me anything about marry before you carry, no wedding, no womb. Don't come in here talking to me about that unless you're talking about different groups of men. Unless you're talking about a non-Black man, don't come in here talking about marriage. It won't stop you from being a single mother. Now let's talk about the failure of youth. Because Black men have been creating married single mothers for 76 years at least. At least. Now, I know that Black men have lied to you. I know that Black men have told you that the reason that Black women are single mothers is because they're not married. I know that Black men have told you that welfare put them out the home, but that's not true. Number one, they were creating married single mothers. Why was she still married? Because women didn't have the right to get divorces. Let me see when women got the right to initiate divorces. Because women weren't able to file divorces. In the US, let me put in the US. So I'm gonna have to do some research because the time that they're saying women got rights, Black women were on the plantation and property doesn't have rights. So I would have to make this specific to Black women because it's talking about 1857, but I think we were on a plantation still. I'm thinking. And
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you can't divorce when you're property.
Hold on. Okay. Negro children without fathers, without plunder and fell. The Williams account of Negro youth growing up with little knowledge of their fathers, less of their fathers' occupations, still less of family applications, traditions, is in sharp contrast to the experience of the white child. The white family, despite many variants, remains a powerful agency not only for transmitting property from one generation to the next, well, you know who the property was, but also for transmitting no less valuable contract with the world of education and work in an earlier age. The carpenters, the rainwrights, the weavers, the mercers, the farmers, the Smiths acquired their names as well as their trades from their fathers and their grandfathers. Exactly. These fathers, from then on, leave their kids nothing. And I'm tired of saying the same thing over and over and over. We are the only group of people who never had the ball. We dropped the ball. We never had the ball to drop. The people are like, I don't believe in nepotism. I'm like, I do. And look at this. You pass it down. And then it says, children still today learn the patterns of work from their fathers. These kids don't learn nothing. They don't even learn nothing from their dad, the poor Black kids, even though they may have no longer go into the same job. White children without fathers at least perceive all about them, the patterns of men working. Negro children without father flounder and fell. Well, there you have it. There you have it. So it's been over 60 years. And they didn't pick that part out, but they could sure enough pick out the part that we made them leave the home that didn't belong to them. We made them leave a home that it was never theirs, but we made them leave it. Like, how was that possible? Boss lady, what you got to say? We got to say something.
I was gonna say, that's in a nutshell. They need to come up with a new excuse. Come up with a new one. Because even if that's the case, why are you still using that for excuse? Why are men not trying to come together and figure out why they can't be in the house with their kids? And besides getting together, talking about, oh, that be crazy. Oh, my BM. Oh, that be tripping. You know, stop whining.
Mm-hmm.
Be a man and stand up to that B and go take care of your kids.
Every time they say children without fathers, they could say that and they go right past that. But let me let her finish playing because I got my tea. Wait, I gotta get my tea.
Oh, but this is saying 1969. Yeah, this is saying 1969.
Tea. Just start taking your clothes
where
off.
they could get divorced in 1969.
And, it's getting later, and you gotta.
Yeah, so it's saying in 1969. So obviously in the 1940s or the early 1960s, of course, these women that they're referring to who weren't divorced, they weren't able to get a divorce. They weren't able to get divorces. Yeah, women were not allowed to. I know. We just looked it up. It said 1969.
Exactly, Jessica.
No, Kristen,
exactly.
I'm looking at it right now. It says 1969 for the U.S. Women were able to initiate divorces. But anyway, this says the failure of the youth. Williams' account of Negro youth growing up with little knowledge of their fathers, again, less their father's occupations, still less of family occupational traditions, is in sharp contrast to the experience of a white child. So they did a study around this time. They did a survey, and they asked the youth, the black youth, did they know their father's occupation and their grandfather's occupation? And none of them knew what their father did, and they didn't know what their grandfather did. So this dust is multi-generational. It is multi-generational dust. Multi-generational dust. And so if these youth didn't even know what job their dad had, that right there tells you, even though, again, there were 4 times the amount of black men who were in the workforce than black women. Don't let them tell you that they were giving these jobs to black women. They were not. They were not. They were not giving more jobs to black women. They were giving more jobs to black men. For every 4, there was 1 black woman in the workplace for every 4 black men. 1 black woman to every 4 black men in the workforce. There were more black men given jobs than black women. They are lying. Nobody gave more jobs to black women. No, they didn't. They gave more of them to black men. It says Williams' account of Negro youth growing up with little knowledge of their fathers, less of their father's occupation, still less of the family occupational traditions, is in sharp contrast to the experience of the white child. The white family, despite many variants, remains a powerful agency not only for transmitting property from one generation to the next. So they're telling you white children had generational wealth. They had generational wealth, but also for transmitting no less valuable contracts with the world of education and work. In an earlier age, the carpenters, Wainwrights, weavers, mercers, farmers, we know these are white, Smiths, acquired their names as well as their trades from their fathers and grandfathers. Children today still learn the pattern of work from their fathers, even though they may no longer go into the same job. White children without fathers at least perceive all about them the pattern of men working. So they're saying even when white children do not have their fathers, they still know about the pattern of men working. Because somebody within their generation is going to pass down to them the knowledge that men have to work. That is not passed down to black men because the men weren't working.
Thank you. Have a good workout.
That is why black men, the pattern of 50-50 has been passed down to black men. Not providing. 50-50. Negro children without
enjoy your
fathers
workout, Jesse,
and fail. Not always, to be sure. The Negro community produced its share, very possibly more than its share, of young people who have that something extra that carries them over the worst obstacles. But such persons are always a minority. That's still true today. That is still true today. The minority of Black people are the ones who are excelling, who are thriving, and generally you go see them being Black women, not Black men. Because Black men just don't want to do anything. I'm still confused as to why they said that the Moynihan report was in their favor. It says the common run of young people in a group facing serious obstacles to succeed do not succeed. A prime index of the disadvantage of Negro youth in the United States is their consistently poor performance on the mental tests that are a standard means of measuring ability and performance in present generation. This means the IQ test. They're talking about the IQ test. They're saying a prime index of disadvantage of Negro youth in the United States is their poor performance on IQ tests. They might as well just say that, but they don't want to seem racist. They're saying that they have low IQs. There is absolutely no question of any genetic differential. Intelligence potential is distributed among Negro infants in the same proportion as among Icelanders or Chinese or any other group. So they're basically saying their poor performance on IQ tests is not because of their genetics. They're saying it's not because of their genetics. I want to read this again. There is absolutely no question of any genetic differential. Intelligence potential is distributed among Negro infants in the same proportion as among Icelanders or Chinese or any other group. American society, however, impairs the Negro potential. The statement of the Hardy report that there is no basic disagreement over the fact that Central Harlem students are performing poorly in school 39 may be taken as true of Negro slum children throughout the United States. So they're saying that your dumbness is environmental. It's environmental. In this Moynihan report, he's saying you have the same intellectual distribution as any other group of person. It is not because of your genetics, is basically what it's saying. 8th grade children in Central Harlem have a medium IQ of 87.7. This is the males. This is the males, and they haven't increased this IQ of 87.7, which means that perhaps a third of the children are scoring at levels perilously near to those of retardation. Now, he's not saying this, but this was not the case during segregation. This wasn't the case during segregation. IQ declines in the first decade of life, rising only slightly thereafter. The effect of broken families on the performance of Negro youth has not been extensively measured. The studies that have been made show an unmistakable influence. So basically, Black men walking out on their children is making them dumber. And of course it would, because then the mother has to work, so she doesn't have time to be there to help children with school. This is what Black men are doing. Martin Gooch and Berth Brown, investigating intelligence tests, differences between Negro and white 1st and 5th graders of different social classes, found that there is a direct relationship between social class and IQ. Of course. And the reason being is because if you are in a higher social class, you have the money to pay for tutoring, to put your child in learning.
What you guys say about that, boss lady? You know we gotta say something.
Girl.
Because I sort of kind of missed it. So it's on you.
They're not doing no homework with their kids. They're not coming home and showing them nothing about no jobs. She's right. The report is still right, and it was written back in there all those years. They're not teaching these kids. They're not showing them that you can work, and this is the job I have, and teaching them skills and stuff like that. The report is still right. It's like they wrote it yesterday.
Same-ish, different
day.
Okay, there are plenty of Black men who are taking care of their wives and children. I know you know that we know that, Rodney. This is talking about, if you got to go back to 1950, or 54 or 64 when they wrote
Rodney
this.
needs to rewind the tape and
Yeah,
not
go back and tell them that.
making a statement. You don't you just coming in on one low part.
No, but either way, he's correct. But he needs to go back and tell them that, because they said this is containing a 1954 or 64 or 65. So
This is from the 30s to the 60s.
now,
So
and then but it's so many less black men who are taking care of their kids. The men who take care of their wives and children are being flushed out, if you know what I mean. It's like for every like one black man that's taking care of his family, it's 10 black men who's not. So you don't really get to see them. But weed is not supposed to praise you guys. Y'all supposed to take care of your wife and your kids. You don't get no you don't get nothing for taking care of your wife and kids, and you don't get nothing for being a mother and a wife to your husband and taking care of your kids. These are things you're supposed to do. These are the things you're supposed to do. You don't get no kudos. She should be. I can't be glad you do that. She has to. That's your lifeline. You chose the woman that's your lifeline, and what you want your lifeline to know. Wait, not plenty of men. Rodney, are you taking care of your wife and kids? It's a question. You didn't say the word I. I want to hear the word I take care of my wife and children. Not plenty of men. And don't say I'm including myself. I don't care. I want to know. Only care about you now.
yeah, because you can't speak for all men, and plenty of men. Who is that to include you? Does that include your brothers, uncles? What are you saying? Is that your friends? Is that your college friends? I mean, what men are you including?
Or was that just to run in and run out? You know how that go.
Learning centers and increase their IQ. So, of course, if you have a broken family, the man isn't working, you're impoverished, you got 1 million kids because he's running around spreading community poverty dick all over the place, you can afford to get your child tutors. Therefore, you can afford to increase their test scores. As one rises, so does the other, but more for whites than Negroes. This is surely a result of housing segregation referred to earlier, which makes it difficult for Negro class families to escape the slums. The author explains that it is much more difficult for Negroes to attain identical middle or upper middle class status with whites, and the social class gradations are less marked for Negroes because Negro life in a caste society is considerably more homogenous than in life for the majority group. But we already know this. We already know that. Systemic oppression that black men put you in prevents you from rising to the level of people of no color. We already know that. Therefore, the authors look for background variables other than social class, which might explain the difference. One of the most striking differences between the Negro and white group is the consistently higher frequency of broken homes and resulting family disorganization in the Negro group. Look, how many look, this is a domino effect. This is a domino effect. Basically, black men deserting their families is a domino effect. It's causing the children to be dumber. It's causing them to have mental problems. It's causing the women to be more masculine. It's causing everything. Because black men refuse to be men, it is a domino effect. His walking out and deserting his family is causing a bunch of problems.
Get out of here.
But he doesn't care because he's derelict and expendable. Further, they found that children from homes where fathers are present have significantly higher scores than children in homes without fathers. The influence of the father's presence was then tested within the social classes and school grades for Negro belong.
They found out that a consistency trend within both grades.
You being on the Tyrone spectrum, you need to go blame that on your daddy, black men. The fact that you're on the Tyrone spectrum, go blame that on daddy. Go hit daddy up and tell him, ask him, why did he leave you? and cause you to be on the Tyrone spectrum. Because that's who did it. You don't need to come over here and talk to Black women. You don't need to talk about anybody putting you out the home. You don't need to talk about welfare. Go ask your daddy why he left and caused you to be dumb. It just is what it is. The influence of the father's presence was then tested within the social class and school grades for Negroes alone. They found that a consistent trend within both grades at the lower socioeconomic status class level appeared, and in no cases there a reversal of this trend. For males, females, and the combined group, the IQs of children with fathers in the home are always higher than those who have no father in the home. The author says that broken homes may also account for some of the differences between Negro and white intelligence scores. The score of the fifth graders with fathers absent were lower than the score of the first graders with fathers absent. And while the authors point out that it is cross-sectional data and does not reveal the duration of the father's absence, what we might be tapping is the cumulative effect of fatherless years. Basically, they're telling you what I just told you. It is a domino effect. It's a domino effect. Black men walking out of their homes, willingly walking out of their homes, is a domino effect. The difference in ability to perform has its counterpart in statistics on actual school performance. Non-white boys from family with both parents present are more likely to be going to school than boys with only one parent present. And enrollment rates are even lower when neither parent is present. These are obvious. When the boys from broken homes are in school, they do not do as well as the boys from the whole families. Grade retardation is higher when only one parent is present and highest when neither parent is present. The loneliness of the Negro youth in making fundamental decisions about education is shown in a 1959 study of Negro and white dropouts in Connecticut high school. Only 29% of Negro male dropouts discuss their decision to drop out of school with their fathers, compared with 65% of the white males. And that's because in the white male's home, they were actually there. In fact, 26% of the Negro males did not discuss this major decision in their lives with anyone at all, compared with only 8% of white males. Well, you can't explain something to a father that's not there. The father ain't there. So how can you talk about your decision if your father is just not there? He just ain't there. Hold on, you guys. I'm on here. I was on here trying to order some food because I'm starving. Y'all be playing with me, but I'm hungry. At the home, complaining because women didn't want to stay in abusive marriages and are divorcing them. This is a problem. This is a problem. I'm gonna get back to I'm gonna get back to that part first. I'm gonna get back to it. Understand I'm going to. But this is stressful. Like, I want you guys to tell me, what do you guys think about what we just read before we get into the crime part? What do you guys think about it?
Exactly. What do you guys think about it?
I'm gonna be on here for about hold on for a second, because I don't understand why that the issue is Black women. They're telling you all.
I had some, just a little post a sister had to say, and I would like to just stop, and then I got to go into the next thing.
And this is how we know the DSM-5, what we read about Black men potentially being narcissists with antisocial personality disorder. We know that's true, because it essentially says that he cares more about creating this false illusion of who he is as a man than he cares about his community. He would rather the whole world see Black women as these masculine, traitorous, non-submissive, non-feminine, non-cooperative women. He would prefer that the world sees you as that, rather than to take accountability for what he's done and corrected. he would prefer that the world hates you than for him to take accountability for what he does. And if we weren't sitting up here reading this Moynihan report, you can best believe they would be in the comment section and they would be talking about the Moynihan report said that they were taken off the home. That's what they would be doing. That's what they would be doing. Because they don't care. They don't care about the community. They don't care about Black women. If they cared about Black women and Black children, they wouldn't have been deserting the children and making you marry single mothers for at least 70 years. They wouldn't be doing that. You can literally look at the Moynihan report and go over what it's saying, and you can compare it to what's happening in 2021. For those women, Black women who want to have hope in Black men, because you want to say, well, we just got to speak life into him and we just got to build him up and then he'll change. No, speaking life into a person and building them up is not going to make them change. Black men will change when they see flaw in their behavior. A group of people who are ready for change, they don't blame their failures on other people. They don't. They wouldn't be blaming their failures on you. They wouldn't be trying to project their degeneracy on you. Look, it's one thing to put you in a system of oppression. That's one thing. But then to stand the world, like Black men have been trying to convince the world that you're the most traitorous women on the face of the planet. So not only is he against you, but he wants to convince the world of people that they should see you the same way that he sees you. It's a problem. So it's not enough that he put you in the hostile environment of a system of white supremacy. No. He wants to ensure that the world sees you. All of those negative stereotypes that they attach to Black women, they came from Black men. They came from Black men. Because he hates himself, he wants the world to hate you. And that is why he's out here spreading lies and false narratives about you. It's not enough that we have to get it from the system. That's not enough. Black men want to contribute to that. And then he actually will open his crusty, ashy lips to sit up there and talk about their negative propaganda against him. No, you brought the negative propaganda and you placed it on the women in your community because you're too much of a coward to change. The problem is Black men. It just is what it is. Gala Deliciously, your channel is revolutionary. My girlfriend has basically raised herself because of her narc mother and father that wouldn't ever. Candace Huntley said, NGL, sometimes I'm embarrassed, not gonna lie, sometimes I'm embarrassed to have ever been in a relationship with a dusty Black man. We all have our girl. Like, seriously, if I told my story of my relationships, it's completely embarrassing. But when you know better, you do better. And Black men aren't going to teach you to do better, because if you do better, then where is that going to put them? But I'm telling you, I had, prior to this, no interest in reading the Moynihan report. I literally, because I told you guys, I get a bunch of thoughts in the middle of the night. I will have a bunch of thoughts running through my mind. Mm-hmm. I literally woke up one morning and the thought popped into my mind. The voice said, go read them the Moynihan report.
Hey, sissy.
Go read it. So I came and read it. All day, every day. They don't care what men of no color think. Yes, they do. Everything that Black men do and say, for the most part, is to change or attempt to change the perspective of men of no color, because those are the dominant males in society. So essentially, all they're really doing is telling you that they're failures. Black men see it as a failed matriarchy. Everybody else sees it as black men's failure to lead. Try to save him. Don't try to change his mind. Don't try to ration with him. Leave.
Now, let's see who come and speak for us. I'm not going to show the whole, and we'll show the little girl later. But I want to show you how much we are disrespected is when you got Caucasian men that has to stand in for us. I'm telling you, it's gonna, you think it's a lot of, when you think that they thought that we used to get mad because they went over to the other race, that shit is gonna come back and haunt our black men in their butt. Because, baby, they going over there. Love who you love, though. Let me just put that in a disclosure. Love who you love. Love who you love and love them with everything. And the things that we show on this channel, another disclaimer, has nothing personally to do with me or Boss Lady. We just do commentary and report. We report and do commentary. What we show, what y'all get out of it, is what you guys get out of it. You're not hearing us saying agreeing or disagreeing. All we're doing is giving our point of view, which might not agree with theirs. So don't be like, oh, they down with, no, we ain't down with nobody. But this is a channel and we report and we do commentary. So that's what me and Boss Lady does. Correct, Boss Lady?
Yes, ma'am.
You know how people swear for goodness. Oh, they on that woman. No, we not. We the humans fear. Now tell me this is not something else. Tell me this ain't something else. Look who has to speak for us.
A lot of white men won't just come out and say it. But there is that barrier. We got stereotypes on each other. We got generalizations. And a lot of times when we're not around people of a different race, we go off what we're told, what other people say. And that stuff a lot of times isn't true. It's exaggerated. It's a stereotype. And you don't really know until you get to know the person. And every individual's different, you know. But I downloaded a couple of videos, and I want to show you. You might have seen these videos. I downloaded one video I'm going to share, and you know, it's like so in our life, in our neighborhoods, and society, and you know, a lot of times,
you know, but truthfully,
really a good channel.
Into it, you're duped into it. I don't know if it's due to being naive. You just think that this man loves you, or he might love you, or you have some type of, you think you're getting some type of benefit from him. You know, but truthfully, black women are just hitting jewels. You're like that piece of coal that once you knock off the exterior, you're a diamond. You know, you are.
It's a shame when this man is showing us videos where now white men coming to our defense. And you know they always liked us anyway, right? Yeah, I know that, right? They always liked us anyway. Now they're speaking out. You know
That's
that?
crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's why I said, yeah, wait till y'all see this video. Y'all know this. I've been working hard, so I should have some good likes here. I should have likes from everybody in this room. Okay. I got y'all. Y'all hitting me up with the likes. Earl that Lawrence. I don't understand. I really think that we're not going to be friends that long, Earl. I know you're going to come in here and say something. Yeah, like just like that. Snipers! Do your job, snipers. Just time them out. Time them out. Time them out. I got it. Oh.
What language is that? What?
It doesn't matter. No, that's on the original one, not now, Ms. Rod.
What is going on?
They mad because you hear now these white men is gonna call them as treasurers, hidden jewels, which they always now block them. I don't know if that's hugs and kisses, oboe. I don't know, but we don't have no time to play with these people. Hey, King Harlem. Hey, Miss Lee. Yup. Hello, love.
You just need a good man to help bring it out. Now, I mean, my woman, since we have been together, she was a blessing to me, and I was a blessing to her. So it works both ways. It's not just I was her gift.
Okay, he's talking about his wife. She's a blessing. She's a blessing to him, and in turn, he's a blessing to her. I mean, it goes both ways. In a marriage, us as men and then women have our roles, right? And that's what he's talking about, a blessing. When you're married, you got each other, and you're different people, but you move as one. And like the Bible says, you become like one person. And he's explaining. He keeps saying, the hidden jewel, the dime, the piece of coal. You knock out the edges, you got that diamond. He's just giving his wife praise, but he's giving black women praise too. And black women deserve this because a lot of them are putting men first. And what he's talking about is some are getting duped. Some are being taken for granted. And it's sad and it's a shame. And, he's explaining that. And that's the beautiful thing in it. But we'll go ahead and continue on. I want to hear some more.
To turning her into what she is today, that's not even the case. I'm not even going to say that. And I'm not even trying to say that that's what you need. I'm not trying to say you need a man to make you. Right? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that a good man who is there for all the right reasons can help you become and flourish what it is you desire to be, right? And for the man, it's the same way. My wife, she's
Yes, he does. I'm not going to repeat myself. This disclaimer, this is not, all we do is look at videos, we report on them and do commentary on them. It has nothing to do with our personal life or our personal feelings. Okay? I'm gonna have to keep repeating it because some of y'all need to hear it. And yes, he does have a black woman. And these men here, they're putting out more videos about their love for the black woman than the black man. I'm just hearing their side of view. I've never seen these men before. I've never heard of these men before. So yes, I want to check them out. And that's what I do. And Zaddy is just, first of all, y'all too old to be using Zaddy. Y'all too old. Zaddy doesn't mean white man. Zaddy is what the youth call, that's what the youth call when we go, yes, daddy. But then they started saying, hey, daddy don't sound right. We're going to call him Zaddy. So y'all older ones is stupid. Y'all took a children's lingo, Zaddy, and made it the white man. That's not what Zaddy means. Zaddy does not mean the white man. That means your boyfriend. That just means your boyfriend. That's it. It doesn't mean white. That's Zaddy. Zaddy is not the white man. See, y'all took these kids' lingo and didn't know what the hell y'all talking about. But we're gonna still hear them out because they got a message to black women. That's what the title says. Damn it. Something you guys say?
Child, I thought Zaddy was daddy, but he was a zesty man. I see it. Hell.
No, that's the kids' term. I was like, what the heck is that?
I know it's a kid's term, but I thought they were calling Zesty Man or Zaddy. I didn't know.
Girl, sometimes I have to just ask you kids, hey, Dwayne.
How you ladies doing today?
Hey, some.
Hey, I'm doing that. I'm doing what I can, not what I want. Okay. It's okay. It's okay if I'm in the studio right now, huh?
You're in here, right?
Well, I mean, I did it before.
Thank you, Caroline.
I'm not.
People don't usually ask; they just pop their butt up in here, and if I like them, I'll let them in.
This is the sugar house, baby. I can't just do you anytime.
People pop in, but that don't mean that don't mean you could get in. I have to allow you.
Oh, okay. There you go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I have to keep telling people I'm just a person who do commentary. I don't do my personal life and how I feel. No, okay. I just do report and commentary.
I got you. All right.
So I do men and women.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
And it's not like a mean thing. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like she's looking out for him. And sometimes it can seem like motivating, but kind of fighting in a way. And I've done it to my wife, and I'm sure he does it to his wife. You kind of push each other, try to get the best out of each other. And, I think that's what he meant on that. But let's continue.
It's before me. So she has it, she has that fire. She has a vast amount of compassion. And if I'm in a corner, she's there. She'll all I gotta do is tag her and she'll jump in the ring without even a thought.
At least he appreciates that part about us, but we'll carry on.
That's the type of black women I have, and most black women are like that. Most black women will have their man's back. But man, do you have the right man? So many of you ladies are, you get with these dudes, and I don't know if you have aspirations of greatness for this guy or what it is you think he has. Look, you have to set your standards at a certain level, and it cannot be low.
Okay, what he's saying is, black women need to set their standards. A lot of times you hear about black women that they're loyal, they're caring. A lot of them are. And a lot of times they might be with a man that's not there and try to build them, try to mold them. And what he said that when he jumps in, she jumps in.
Boss lady. Boss lady.
Huh?
Now I want to ask you, how do you feel about the conversation that they're having? Is it okay for Caucasians? I mean, how do you feel about that? Because I don't have no feelings whatsoever, because I can't stop them from thinking the way they think, and I can't be appalled that they're saying something nice. But how do you feel that
if they didn't came all the way from whooping us across our back to,
but they still always loved us.
Hey,
remember, they always loved us.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't came from, even when they was whacking us across our back, they was still patting us on our butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it then came all the way full circle to where they're seeing the value of the black woman. See, they didn't see us as valuable before. But I just think
also been controlling black. Yeah, that's what I say. That's what I was thinking too. But that's what makes them know our value also too. They've been controlling black women for ages, so it's easy for them. Well, they ain't controlling. The thing is, they're not controlling us anymore, and they really didn't really control us really back then. Their wives really controlled us, And then when we got beat and stuff by them, that's because their wives said, oh, she stole my this, or she stole my that, or she took a piece of bread. It's psychological spin they're putting on. I don't think so. They married already to their black women. What is the psychological spin? My thing is, where's our black men at? This ain't no Stockholm syndrome, so don't say that. They love us. I don't know what the hell. I ain't no Stockholm syndrome shit. Like I said, if we can't talk about, like King Harlem, it's a fake Cynthia G. It's the King Harlem and me. We're having a conversation here.
I don't believe it's Stockholm syndrome. I believe. Oh, that's Cynthia G.
That's not the real Cynthia G.
Oh. Yeah, they love us, but like I said,
no, they being sarcastic, right? She's being very sarcastic. You got to catch the other. You want to say catch the other thing. I told them don't. I said don't snipe her because she's being respectful. She could be sarcastic. Who gives a heck? As long as she's not disrespectful. You got to check her other messages. The psychological spin to the max.
What the fuck are they doing up there?
Girl, can you please watch them?
Oh, I'm sorry. They bamming over my head, banging, and it sound like they about to come through the ceiling.
And then, regardless of what they're doing, they married the. Did you say it's a psychological spin? Where all the football players and basketball players, and every time our golf players, and every time we make money, they always date outside the race. So is that a psychological spin too, King Harlem? I'm just asking.
In the ring with them. Black women are loyal. I believe they're the most loyal women on earth. I've noticed this with my wife, and he's talking about it too.
Hey, James.
And you hear a lot of white men that are married to black women. They'll talk about these things, and it's kind of it's kind of weird that stuff he's saying I've said, and other people married to black women say. So, I mean, it's not something we're just spouting out our mouth. It's actually true. You know, in general, you know. But anyway, let's continue. We'll hear some more here.
You're settling for these guys. I mean, does he go to?
Okay, and here I'm gonna stop it here. He's telling the women, black women, you're better than that. You're settling for these guys that do not deserve you. Chip says, you know, he's saying that, you know, you deserve better than this. Why settle? You know, find a man that's worthy of having you. And that's where the vetting process come in. But, you know, he's speaking about his wife, and he's kind of his message to black women, to up your standards, to get the right man that you deserve, and not try to get someone that's not to your level trying to build them up, I would say. But let's continue.
Work. Does he even have a job? Does he go to work on time? If he has kids, does he take care of his kids? Does he love his kids? Does he spend time with his kids? If you have kids, has he accepted these kids unconditionally like he has accepted you? Because it's a package deal. You know, it's a package deal. And a man has to understand that. And women, you ladies, you have to, with no uncertain terms, you have to lay out your ground rules. What it is you are expecting from him, right? For a man to be a real man, you have to tell him you expect him to be a man, not a boy, not a jump off, and all that type of stuff. Hey, you have to let him know I'm not in here in it just for a piece of ass. You know, you can bounce off of that. Now, if you want to have, you know, a one night stand, hey, look, that's your business. That's all cool. We all done it, you know. But to bring a man into your life and to accept mistreatment, abuse, and things of that nature, look, you don't need that. Those complications need to be kicked out of your life. The negativity needs to be kicked out of your life. The drama does not. You have to take the drama out of your life. And too many of you black women are settling for guys like that. It's very sad. I see some really good black women that just go through the most, and it's so unnecessary. You have to. It's like you have to go through an application process. A man wants to be with you. He
wants you back. That's what they're basically saying here.
I don't understand the language.
Every other race, Brooklyn. There's different ways of spelling it. Brooklyn.
That's a comeback right there, and we win
it. And of the ABC families are Negro. He has not read the.
All right, guys. That's facts. What he's saying. I don't care if he was orange. I know, right? See, anytime you hear these men come up with these statistics, tell them to show it to you. We have read the Monahan report. Now you know we did not kick them out the house. We didn't have no parts of kicking nobody out the house, out of their house for welfare. It was never their house to begin with. They didn't have no money to begin with. They got mad because they had to find someplace else to lay up. So these layup brothers are still mad. 60-something years later, they still mad. They so mad they passed that anger to their sons and to their grandkids. They still mad because you couldn't lay up. But they should at least be thankful, because if the government didn't step in and you had no money to feed them kids, how was them kids supposed to eat? You may not like the government, but the government fed your damn kids. Even till today, you might not like the government, but the government is feeding your kids. You may not like the woman on food stamps. I'm not talking about the ones who blow up the food stamps, about the ones who really buy food with it. You can't get mad when it's not coming from you. But that is it for tonight. We will have some more discussions tomorrow. There's nothing going on in the Big O streets. I'm not going to do a story time till tomorrow. I'm just going to see what I'm going to look at. I'm going to see whose thing. Oh, all right, Nicole. I'll do that, no problem. Matter, let me check it now. Let me check it now before I leave. Can you feel?
I wasn't even expecting that to be an open.
Oh. All right, I'm out of here. I'm going over there now. Y'all be setting me up. I'm on my way over there now. My ride or die. I'm on my way over there right now. See what I can get. But I'm out of here. Hopefully you guys learned something today. I just like to keep y'all with information and the fuckery. I keep y'all well balanced, don't I? I keep you well balanced. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to check out Nature Boy and Trina B. See you later. Peace. Adios. And all that good stuff.